Hey, seniors, Mr. Chocolates here, and welcome to another Life After Hersey senior session, this one on time management and organization in college. Recently, I went on a campus visit to Augustana College in Rock Island, Illinois, and my tour guide who took me around was a senior who was on the football team, in the choir, in theater, was a student tour guide, worked in admissions, did some things on student government, and all while studying for the bar and was admitted to law school. And I thought, wow, that is a whole lot to do. How is he able to do all those things? And a lot of it really, I would say, would come down to time management. He seemed like somebody who was organized and had just his whole schedule figured out, knew where he needed to be, when he needed to be there, communicated with the professors, coaches, sponsors, and so on, and was able to have a really amazing opportunity and experience in college because he was so on top of things. And so hopefully I'm going to give you some tips here today that will help you with that. So when you go to college, you can make the most out of your time and be successful in everything that you decide to do. All right, here we go. And remember that you can find the full slides in the description in the video below. So let's take a look really quickly at this schedule from what you can see. So if you need to pause the video for a minute and look, this is a sample student schedule, right? So there could be some strong parts and maybe some things, but take a look at it really quickly and see if it looks like it's a full schedule for what you know about a college schedule and what might be missing. So to kind of go over it, if you've already paused, you've got the classes in there, you've got work, you've got studying. So this person likes to study, it looks like, from between 9 and 11 p.m., which is kind of late for some people, but might work for him. Has time to work out. It's got the gym in there, has lunch in there a few of the days. Don't see breakfast scheduled, don't see dinner scheduled. So, and then I'm assuming from 12 to 7 or 8-ish, all the squiggly lines are sleeping. So you really want to make sure that your schedule, because it's not going to be like high school where, you know, your schedule, at least Monday through Friday, is pretty set. You are going to want to make sure you've got everything down in a schedule so that you have adequate time for classes, for studying, for work, for eating, for showering, for all those things, and of course, for having fun. So one of the important things that I can't stress enough is to have a good schedule. All right. Now, it's also very important to know that not all schedules are going to look the same. Your day, week, month, whole life is going to be made up of events based on what type of student you are. We'll look at that in a second, the types of classes you're taking, and just other responsibilities you have in your life. So the type of student you are, you could be a traditional student where you're going full-time, you are financially dependent on your parents, whether you're living on campus or living at home. You don't have to work to pay the bills, to provide for a family. Your focus is school. You might have a part-time job, but you are, mostly focused on school. A non-traditional student might be somebody who has taken time off after high school and has to provide for themselves, so they're only going part-time. Maybe that will be you. Maybe you are moving out and having to fend for yourself. International students, if you're coming from another country, not probably you if you've been here at Hersey. First-gen students, of course, we have those at Hersey, and just navigating the process can be a little more difficult if you don't have that knowledge base coming from home. If you are a student with disability, an academic disability, a physical disability, there could be more layers to what you need to do to be successful. Working, again, if you're working, especially if you have to work full time, that can be tough. And then commuter students, you also have to build in travel time and things like that to campus. I would also say how your class is set up can affect how much time it's going to spend. So if you're taking just a lecture class, it may be a certain amount of hours a week, but if there's a lab component to it, you might have to schedule that extra time in. Seminar classes are classes that just cover a lot of topics, really not too in depth. So you might not spend tons of time studying, but if it's a class in your major, or if it's, a topic that maybe you're not that familiar with, it could take you more time to study. It could be something you have to go to a workshop for and do. It could be an independent study where you have to do a lot of things on your own. There's no set class time, but you have to make sure you get it done. If you take classes when you study abroad, again, you want to make sure you plan that in. And now more than ever, there are classes that you don't have to go in person to. You can do Zoom or hybrid or asynchronous. And as somebody who is a college asynchronous instructor, I can't tell you how many students wait until the last second or even turn in stuff late, despite me putting the assignment out, a week or two in advance. They might have one assignment for the week, and they can turn it in at any time during that week. And many of them turn it in at like 11 p.m. the night that it's due, or even turn it in late and lose points for it. So you really have to plan, make sure that you are organized and know what needs to be done when, especially if, based on different classes. All right, you want to make sure that you are looking at those policies for classes, because if you start dropping classes or, are absent from classes, that can really throw you off. And if you have to drop classes because you didn't attend or you didn't schedule enough time to study, that could really push back your graduation, and that's going to hurt your timeline and possibly your pocketbook too. So to be successful, it's really important that you balance everything. You find balance in your life, your schoolwork, your work place, your physical health, and of course, your mental health. Procrastinating and letting everything build up to the last minute can really be tough on you mentally. So really stop it throughout college at different times, especially if you're feeling stressed, and ask yourself, am I in balance? If not, what's the problem? Am I taking too many classes right now? Should I drop down? I know I'm trying to finish in a certain amount of time, but maybe it's just too much. Should I take less classes next semester? Talk to your academic advisor and see how that works. If you're working also, are you working too many hours? Students always were telling me in my college courses I teach, I just don't have time. I'm working so much. Well, can you cut back? If you can't cut back on work, can you cut back on courses? If you can't cut back on courses, maybe you need to cut back on work. And then ask, is this a time management issue, or is it the amount of work? So is it, I could do all the work, I'm just not managing my time well, or is it I'm managing my time as best I can and there's just something has to give? So those are important questions to ask yourself throughout college if you are finding yourself out of balance and not having enough hours seemingly in the day. All right, so managing your time it's tough because now there's no bells ringing or maybe a parent waking you up or things like that. You have to manage your own time. And so one example or one suggestion is to get a weekly planner. And if you look in the links below, you can pull up a planner and just kind of like that first example we saw, write it out yourself. There's another great website that I will also include that has more specific tips about organizing your time, setting short-term and long-term goals. So I highly recommend you check out that resource as well. I'm not going to talk through it. It's pretty self-explanatory, but it's a great one-stop worksheet for you to look at. And so lastly, some tips from Pacific College on staying organized. Again, first and foremost, I mentioned to set up a calendar. It could be a Google Calendar. It could be a paper calendar. It could be both. It could be a daily, weekly, monthly. Just have everything out there so that you can see what you have coming up. And use to-do lists. Put what you need to do for each day, putting them in the order of importance. And so that you don't waste any time trying to remember what was I supposed to do, and even things like going to the store, like what do I need to buy? Because I could waste, a bunch of time forgetting and trying to remember while I'm there. Stick to a realistic schedule. Again, really take a look at what do I need to do? If I am, just planning extra long for certain things, I might need to adjust, right? So just make sure it's realistic for what you are trying to accomplish. In class, keep your notes organized and digitized. So that way you can get back to them easier. Your class materials organized, books, and other papers, assignments, have either Google Drives or things like that to separate all your stuff. Keep your study space tidy. Don't have a bunch of garbage there. And if you're finding if you're living in a dorm that it's not possible, find a space that works for you. Is it a certain spot of a library or an academic building? A public library, maybe home is not the best place. If you're living at home, maybe you need to go somewhere to campus, to Starbucks, anywhere that you're going to be able to focus. Prepare your tools for class. So make sure you have everything that you need before you go to class, books, papers, questions, things like that. Avoid interruptions when studying or working. So again, if you're going to be disrupted by roommates or siblings or your phone, put that stuff away, and so you can focus. Prepare for the next day. Have next, out. What are you going to wear? What do you need to do? Where do you need to go? Have it all ready so that you don't just kind of wake up in the morning. You're like, oh, what am I supposed to do today? Be ready to go. It'll save you time. And then review your previous week. Did the schedule go as planned? Or is there something you budgeted too much time for or not enough time for? Revisit it and then plan for the next week so that hopefully you will find a schedule that works. To wrap up, I'm going to play you a quick video about something called the Pomodoro Technique, which is a way that you can use to study in an organized fashion. So hopefully that's a good tip. So here's the Pomodoro Technique.
Hi everyone, it's Yanis here, and in this video we will explore what is the Pomodoro Technique. If you want to improve your focus, then this technique might be exactly what you need to try before looking any further. The Pomodoro Technique is a time management method developed by Francesco Cirillo in the late 1980s. The technique uses a timer to break down work into intervals, traditionally 25 minutes in length, separated by a short break. Each interval is known as Pomodoro, from the Italian word for tomato. Here are the steps that you have to follow if you want to improve your focus and concentration following the Pomodoro Technique. Step 1. Choose the task. This will give you one focus point where you will be directing all your attention. Step 2. Set timer. Set your timer for 25 minutes. Make sure that you close all unnecessary tabs on your computer and turn on Do Not Disturb mode on your phone. Step 3. Focus. Here you do one thing only. Work on the chosen task until you hear the sound of the timer. If you do get distracted by your thought or something else, then write it down on a piece of paper and get back to the work. For this reason, I like to keep my journal handy. Step 4. Take a 5-minute break. Once the 25 minutes are over, you have to take a quick and refreshing break. Step 5. Repeat. After the break, you repeat all the steps again to get another 25 minutes of focused work done. You repeat this process 4 times and then have a longer break of 20 minutes. And that is the whole process of using the Pomodoro Technique to improve your focus and concentration.